this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. First and foremost, I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Hope you all overeat and have awesome food. Thanksgiving is the day for that. And yes, we have to sit back and remember to give thanks for what we do have, and perhaps even for what's ahead. And lots of challenges ahead, we know that. Probably more so for some people than others, but definitely challenges ahead, specifically for the world as a whole. We know that. Well, I managed to finally get out to my garden this morning and plant my garlic bulbs, and they were absolutely beautiful garlic bulbs. They're the ones I dug out of my own garden. I decided, rather than using them, because there was just such a limited amount, that I would use them for seed for next year. So I ended up with 20 bulbs, and out of the 20 bulbs, they had anywhere between 4, 5, or 6 cloves each, and I planted the whole thing. So I've got at least 100 garlic bulbs next year, hopefully. The beautiful garlic, really nice quality. Now, these were given to me by one of the other gardeners. He gave me a few bulbs because he saw me planting garlic, and asked me where I got my garlic, and I told him I just bought it from the grocery stores, and he says, no good. He says they put in growth inhibitors on them in the grocery stores so that they don't grow. And he handed me a few bulbs that he, every year he goes to the garlic festivals and he buys garlic, and he has an amazing garlic harvest himself. So I was very grateful, and when it came around to having some vegetables to give him, I gave him some in return. So that's the way that works. Anyway, I did, as I said, got 20 beautiful bulbs from that lot, and the whole lot that I planted from the grocery stores, not one came up, so he was right about that. Really disappointed because I thought I'd have a huge garlic harvest, but I hopefully will next year. Okay, now with that aside, I didn't clean up my garden the way I should. I just haven't had the time or the inclination this year. There's just been so many other things pulling me in different directions. But I have to admit, I enjoyed the physical work. It makes me always feel better to do some physical stuff. So I'm sad that it's going to be, there's not going to be much now. Those of you who have fall gardens, I am definitely envious. Plant it and enjoy it and see what you can come up with, because who knows what's going to happen next year. Yes, I have noticed that our grocery stores are full of fall produce. Maybe not as full as that they have been previous years. Definitely all your winter squashes, summer squashes, and turnips and pumpkins and all of those, and apples. All of those were in a huge supply, but I used to see a lot of pomegranates and other things that you just don't see quite the same anymore. So there is, it appears as though that there's a lot of food. Oh, and yeah, there's cabbages, there's all kinds of those kinds of things. So, but some of the finer items don't seem to be around. We don't seem to have buckets full of walnuts and different kinds of nuts. I didn't see that this year. Perhaps I just wasn't looking. But anyway, other than that, I think that next year is the one that we have to worry about, and hopefully everyone's put away as much as they can. They've squirreled away what they can, and I suggest you continue to do so. I'm certainly not giving up on that myself. I don't know what next year will bring. I keep hearing that there's still shortages, there's still supply chain issues, there's still a lot of turmoil in the world, and every time there's something new, it creates food shortages and famines. So Russia, Ukraine has still not been resolved. And it seems as though it's those players in the world are all having difficulties, whether it's North Korea we don't know so much about, but North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran, they're in a mess, all of them. And let's not forget that the U.S. has huge change perhaps next month. Hopefully for the better, but that doesn't mean it won't happen without turmoil. So let's see what happens. We'll hope for the best. I'm keeping an eye on Iran. That's the one that I find a little bit troublesome. And the reasons for that is that the people there have been repressed for far too long, specifically the women. Treated very poorly, treated like possessions. And I'm sure everyone is aware that this one young lady was apparently beaten to death because her scarf did not conform to what the morality police felt that it should. And that sparked, that's all it took. That one little spark, this woman's death, sparked protests in the country, starting from September the 17th, and they're still going on today. And now, not only are they demanding changes for women, but a total regime change. And as brutal as that regime is, they still haven't been able to stop these protests. So they've been going on for a good 3 weeks at this point. What's the outcome going to be? We don't know. I think so far they've already lost over 140 lives because of the protest, but I don't expect that this one will go away too easily. But anytime you have these authoritative, very repressive regimes trying to keep control, they are very brutal. But people only take being repressed for so long. People only take being pushed into poverty for so long. And this should be a lesson to people in North America. I think that they've been trying to push us in that direction to be able to be subservient to a government system that tells you what you can do, when you can do it, and how you should do it, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think North Americans are too accommodating. I think that they're accustomed to freedoms. And yes, they gave them up when they thought it was necessary over the last 2 years. And today they're saying no more. They're saying enough is enough. And of course there is the desire to still control through fear. And I'm finding that the pandemic is over. So we've been told. And the means of controlling the population with the fear of the pandemic is pretty much done. So what other avenue do you need now? I guess a war is always another way to control people, always has been. Start a war and people either, mostly they support it because their children are front and center in those wars. So, but I'm hoping that North American population is not so keen on going to war for anybody anymore. On the other hand, the leader of the free world is doing his darndest to try and instill fear by claiming that Armageddon is around the corner. The end of days is near. The threat of a nuclear war, instead of toning it down, seems to be encouraging the possibility. Now, I don't think that that is a real possibility. I think that that is used to push to get your own way. I think the nuclear threat has always been used as a power play, and it continues to be used in that manner, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail, although there don't seem to be very many cool heads. But I'm still a believer in, how can I explain this? That everyone is subject to higher powers, and so are they. So, I don't think that they are going to be able to do what they want. I think that they'll all fail. It's a little different. Like I said, I'm not into fear-mongering, but I do believe that we should keep an eye on current events, and should we have to adjust, we have to adjust. Anyway, hope to see you all on the next one, and bye for now.